Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us this fine Tuesday morning. At least the sun is coming out. Hope everyone is doing well. So, for those who are new, my name is Mitch Kaniaru. I'm a trader with Afriforex, and I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during these sessions, we as the Afriforex team, we analyze the markets early in the morning, we identify what trading opportunities we will be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, I'm not here alone. We do have John. He is in the back office, part of the Afriforex team. So he'll be here to assist you in whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions on the chat box. So also wanted to just apologize for yesterday. We did end up having some technical difficulties, and we did end up sharing our watch list on the Telegram channel. So if you are not on the Telegram channel, do make sure you join that. There should be a link for that in the description. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off here with our watch list. So hope you can see my screen. So our watch list, you can see there's a slight difference between yesterday and today. So since we did not necessarily present yesterday, there will not necessarily be much of a review. However, these are the pairs that we're going to be focusing on today. So our focus is going to be looking for selling opportunities on the Swiss franc as well as the British pound pair. So we're going to look to sell both of these pairs and mixing and matching them with all the pairs on the buy side. So that's the US dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar, the yen, the euro, as well as the Australian dollar. So since there's no pair for review, we'll jump straight into screenshots. Happy to see we did end up getting quite a few. Then we will end up focusing on today's pairs. So we'll start off here with Caroline Muhia. We did manage to grab a very nice selling opportunity on the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Very nice sell right there. Your stop loss seems to be within break even. You can see the trade is approaching your take profit very well. So very, very good job on this trade, Caroline. Keep up the amazing work that you're doing. So also next, we did get George Chege. Have to see all the CS screenshots here as well. Did manage to grab a buying opportunity on oil. So very nice buy. Please happy to see you bought within an area where there are buyers. If you do that, the probability of your trade working really end up increasing. So very well done. Very nice buy right there. You take profit. You're not necessarily trying to target too far, which is good. And the fact that your stop loss is already above your entry. So very, very well done on this trade, George. Keep up the amazing work that you're doing. So also next, we do have our in-house trader, John. So he did end up catching a very nice buying opportunity on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. You can see a buy right there. The price has come up within a problem area. And already you can see the fact that he has managed the trade, putting the stop loss above these buyers. If you do end up realizing the market does end up moving in higher highs and higher lows. So if you mainly focus on that, you can see the most recent high is within this area. And that's the reason why he has put his stop loss there. Because if the price does come back down within that particular area, ideally the buys are not continuing and you are still giving your trade enough space to move. So do end up taking note of that. But very good job on that trade, John, as well. So also next, we get Peter. Peter, you did manage to grab a very, very nice buying opportunity on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Seems that you were trading when the market was within this particular range and you did grab the buy at the bottom of the range, which is where you expected to get it. And you can see the price has really gone up in your favor. Take profit all the way within that particular area. So very, very well done. The only thing I would advise, because you can see you've already moved your stop loss up above your entry, which is very good. But you can see this is the support and resistance area of this range that was just broken. So what most likely ends up happening, or a number of times when the market does end up ranging, you will find that once it does break to the upside, you will see the market pulling back that area before actually going to the upside. So there's a possibility you might end up easily being stopped out and hope the buyers were able to continue. But most of the time, that's what ends up happening. So in such situations, don't necessarily put your stop loss at a support and resistance area. Try and put it below it, right below it, so that at least you do end up giving the trade a bit of space to move. But otherwise, very, very good job on this trade, Peter. Keep up the great work that you're doing. So next, we also did get Ron Austin. We did manage to grab a very nice buying opportunity on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Very nice buy right there where the buyers are. We can see the price already coming up in your favor. So very well done on that. And we can see you have managed to trade quite well. Your stop loss already above your entry. So very good job on this trade, Ron, and keep up the amazing work that you're doing. So that's it for all the screenshots that we did manage to get. So I want to thank all the people who did manage to send them in to us. Remember, guys, it's not reserved for a few. Anyone can end up actually sending in your screenshots, and they do not necessarily need to be the best screenshots ever. So if you do manage to take any setups, feel free to send them in to us. There should be contact details right there in the video description. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with the Swiss franc pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side before we move on to the British pound and do the same thing. Then we will move on to the indices as well as gold and silver. So starting off with the Swiss franc pairs, we have the US dollar against the Swiss franc. So these are brand new entered on our watch list. And on this currency pair, our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. Now, we do have these three areas where we will be looking for buying opportunities from. We have the aggressive area right here where the buyers are. We do have a support and resistance area here where we do need to make sure if we do manage to grab our buying opportunity down here, we do need to manage our trade within that location. And we have the main sellers all the way at the top that could definitely end up giving us an issue. Now, I know most people will be wondering why we're looking for a buy when the price is coming down so aggressive. But especially if you do end up going up to a higher time frame, you'll realize that this price has been going to the upside. And where we are within this support and resistance after the price did end up breaking to the upside. So there's potential that this price could actually end up continuing to go up, potentially even being able to break above these levels. However, you do need to make sure you do some sort of trade management within those locations. So for now, we'll wait to see if we can end up getting some signs of big boy buyers. So potentially if we see the sellers coming in, maybe giving us some sort of probe or price action signal, big boy buyers come in, you could potentially end up grabbing a buying opportunity. Do make sure you manage your trade within this location. But if we do get a price breaking this area to the upside, you can end up waiting for a pullback. And if the price ends up holding above that particular area, you can be able to look for another buying opportunity. Do making sure you manage your trade within the seller's area. So I hope that's clear, at least on what the game plan is on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. If the price does break this area to the downside, the red support and resistance area, and it does end up holding below, remember, this pair will fall off our watch list at that point in time. So hope that's clear on the US dollar against the Swiss franc as we move on to the next Swiss franc pair. Here we have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc, and here our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. Now you can see the huge move that did end up happening yesterday, and most people must be wondering why we have our levels in such an area. I will end up going to a higher time frame so that it will end up being much more clearer in what the game plan is going to be. So we'll still be looking for buying opportunities. This move that ended up happening right here seemed to have been a huge probe within this particular area. You can see we're within a support and resistance area where buyers are. The price attempted to break this area to the downside, but you can see it was and ended up just being a probe. When the price did come to the upside, as it pulled back, it confirmed that this level is still holding. And if you realize this market seems to be in a range, so that means if we are looking for our buying opportunities, the best place to look for the buys at the bottom of the range, do make sure you manage your trade at the top of the range. And I think that's the reason why we'll be looking for something similar to this, possibly looking for a buying opportunity there. If we do manage to miss that trade, and the price does manage to break this area to the upside, remember, as I did point out on the screenshot that we did manage to get, wait for a pullback to the top of the range, and you could end up getting a very nice buying opportunity there. So we will be waiting to see what ends up happening on this kind of pair, but it does seem that the buyers definitely ended up showing a lot of interest yesterday. Let's hope we end up seeing a lot more of that interest today. So hope that is clear, at least on the game plan of what we're looking at doing on the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. As we move on to the next Swiss franc pair, and here we have the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So similar situation here, brand new entry in our watch list, and our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. So we'll be focusing on buying opportunities based on these three areas. So we have the aggressive buyers area all the way down there at the bottom, right here. And you can see, if you're looking at the market structure, we do seem to be in some sort of range bouncing between these levels. So if we are looking for a buying opportunity, as we have pointed out, we could end up waiting for the price within this particular support and resistance area. If it does end up coming down within there, definitely looking for a buying opportunity within that location, at least making sure to manage your trade within this particular area. However, if we do see, since the fact that the price has come down, you can see the way the buyers have reacted quite aggressive. The last time the sellers were able to push down within this particular area, we don't know if they really end up having much of the strength to end up actually coming down lower. You can see the first time they got to within this area, the second time they got down a bit lower, but this time they were only able to get to this particular area. So if you do see the price coming back in and the sellers are not able to come down, there's a possibility we could end up finding this price breaking this area to the upside. Remember, if we do see that this was a range, we should end up waiting for a pullback within this support and resistance area to potentially look for a buying opportunity there. And remember, the market is most likely to move or be within one of these points within one of the market opening times. So remember, the London market opens at 11. The US market opens at 4, and the New York Stock Exchange opens at 5:30. So do watch out for those particular times. If you find the price within one of these areas, so if you find it within a nice bias area, you could end up finding the price is actually taking off quite aggressively. So do watch out for that. You can see even yesterday, similar situation at 5:30, the price was within this bias area, and we can see the push of the buyers that did end up happening within that area. So do take note of those particular times as well. So moving on to the next Swiss franc pair, we do have the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now, in this kind of pair, our bias is to look for selling opportunities. You can see the way the price did manage to come down, quite aggressive. We did end up getting a pullback the whole of yesterday, and we did end up approaching back within the main sellers that we did end up having. And you can see the aggression that the sellers are attempting to push down lower. You can see this push to the downside. You compare how the buyers came up. Look at how quick it did manage to come to the downside. So overall, we're definitely going to be looking for selling opportunities, but we don't necessarily want to just jump in on selling opportunities just yet. Ideally, if the price is giving us a pullback, that's what we want to see. Potentially, we can end up getting the price coming back all the way to this main seller's area before we're able to look for selling opportunities for the price to actually come down. But do take note of this blue support and resistance area. There is a possibility that the price might not necessarily get all the way to the top. Could find it actually giving us some sort of probe or price action signal within this particular area. So if you do see some sort of reaction within here, and it's in line with one of the market opening times, you could end up finding a very nice selling opportunity. But remember, alternatively, if you do end up missing that trade, the price ends up coming to the downside and holding below, you can be able to look for a selling opportunity within this particular area, but do make sure you manage your trade within these problem areas at the bottom. So I hope that is clear on the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. As we move on to the next Swiss franc pair, here we have the euro against the Swiss franc, and here our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. Now, most people must be a bit scared looking for buys, especially when they see this huge aggressive sellers that did come down. But remember, the story is the way the sellers came down first, you need to see, are they able to really make any new lows? So as you can see, the strength of the sellers actually losing. Because the first time you can see the aggressive that they ended up coming with. You can see the next push down, they were not able to make a new low. You're starting to see the buyers starting to react a lot more. And now look at the way the sellers are starting to come down. Every time they get back within this area, the buyers are pushing up. The sellers attempt, you can see how much slower they are actually coming down. So they are starting to actually lose strength. You don't necessarily need to focus too much on this. So most people might still be looking for those sells, and we could end up actually finding our buying opportunity coming in. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for these buys. Let's see if we can end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal, something to incite a few sellers. And if we do end up seeing buyers coming in, definitely we should be able to look for a buying opportunity within that particular area. And do make sure you manage your trade within this first problem area right here. But remember, if we do end up getting the price breaking and holding above, we should be able to continue looking for those buying opportunities once we're able to break past this particular seller's area. You can see the sellers have been attempting to push down within this area. If we are able to get the price breaking and holding above, that definitely confirms that the sellers are done. And this would be a much better buy, or at least a much safer buy to actually be able to take. So we'll be waiting to see what ends up happening on the euro against the Swiss franc. So moving on to the next and last Swiss franc pair that we do have the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, the Australian dollar has been showing a bit of strength. So you can see this yesterday, or at least the price has been coming down. We were in a particular downtrend, but you can see the way the sellers had started slowing down, the fact that the buyers have started pushing much more aggressively. And you can see similar situation yesterday at around 5:30, the New York Stock Exchange opened, did end up getting a lot of strength to the upside. So today, the bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. We will be focusing on these three areas. Right now, if we end up going to a higher time frame, which I will just do just now. So let me just first focus on the levels. So if we do end up going to a higher time frame, you will realize that what's happening right now is this market seems to be in a range. So if we do end up going to the 1 hour time frame, you can see the price has been pulling back, especially due to the fact that we're pulling back within a major support and resistance area. Sellers have started slowing down where we have started getting a range. But if the market is ranging and we're at the top of the range, this is not a good place to look for our buying opportunities. We need either the price to actually pull back all the way down to the bottom of the range, or we need the price actually breaking and holding above. You can see it's very easy for people to actually end up being stopped out. You can see it looked as if it was breaking this area to the upside, but it came straight back in. So remember, in order for a breach to happen, we want the price breaking to the upside, potentially within this particular area. And on the pullback, we want the price to come back in and show us evidence that it's actually holding above. we do end up seeing that, that should end up giving us a very nice buying opportunity available on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. And if that ends up happening, you should be able to at least target the next problem area. So I'll go to the 1 hour time frame because I know the levels are a bit wider, but overall, these will be the levels we will be focusing on. So hope that's clear on the Swiss franc pairs. As you can see, we've mixed the Swiss franc with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to do the same thing with the British pound pairs. Then we will move on to gold, silver, as well as the indices. So starting off, the first British pound pair we do have the British pound against the US dollar. Now, in this kind of pair, our bias here is to look for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that we have pointed out. The market did end up coming down quite aggressively, and we have, or at least we did end up getting quite a big pullback coming in. So overall, we are going to be focusing on sells as long as we're holding below this red support resistance area. Remember, if the price does break that area to the upside and it holds above, this pair will fall off our watch list. But for now, overall, as long as the price is holding below within this area, we're definitely going to be looking for those selling opportunities. So let's wait to see what ends up happening. If you end up getting the price coming up, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal, we should be able to look for selling opportunities there. But there also seems to be some sort of support and resistance area right here. You can see the way the buyers seem to be holding quite a bit. There is potential where if you do end up missing that, or you find the price actually breaking this area to the downside, you do find the price giving us a pullback and it does end up holding below this area, we should be able to find a selling opportunity there. Do make sure you manage your trade within this first problem area, but a similar situation. We need a breach and a hold to confirm that that level has been broken in order for us to look for another selling opportunity. Do making sure we manage our trade within this next buyer's area. So let's wait to see what ends up happening on the British pound against the US dollar. So moving on to the next British pound pair, we do have the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Now, in this kind of pair, our bias yesterday, or at least today, sorry, is to look for selling opportunities. You can see the way the price really did come down quite aggressive. If you do take note of the time, you can see that was during the US market open at exactly 4 o'clock. So overall, this pair, we will definitely be looking for selling opportunities. But we can see where we are right now. We're within an area where there are buyers. So we do not want to jump in on any selling opportunity just yet. We need one of two things to happen. We need to see whether or not these buyers are actually going to do anything. So there's a potential that the price can actually end up giving us a pullback within this support and resistance area for us to look for some sort of selling opportunity there. But there's also the potential, the fact that you can see the first time that the price got back within this area, you can see the aggressive push of the buyers. As the sellers have come down, you can see the buyers do not necessarily look as strong. So if you do end up finding this price actually breaking this area to the downside, if you do end up seeing the market actually pushing to the downside, we get a pullback and the price actually is holding below within this area, then we should be able to look for a very nice selling opportunity there. But do make sure, even if you grab your sell there, wherever the pullback started, so let's say if the price comes all the way down within this particular price, do make sure you do some sort of trade management within there. There's no guarantee that the price will just continue going and running down. Wherever it bounces from will be a new support and resistance area, so do make sure you do some sort of trade management there. So hope that is clear what we're looking at on the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. As we move on to the next British pound pair, here we have the British pound against the Canadian dollar, and here we will be looking for selling opportunities. So we have identified three main areas for us to look for the sells. Aggressive sellers all the way up there at the top. We have a support and resistance area here that seems to have been breached, and potentially we could end up finding some nice selling opportunities. And we do have a buyer's area all the way down here at the bottom. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for selling opportunities. You can see the pullback has started, but we have not necessarily seen aggressive sellers. These sellers do not necessarily look as strong. So there's still the possibility we could end up getting this price giving us a pullback, potentially giving us some sort of global price action signal within this particular area before we're able to look for selling opportunities. Now, you can see I've identified another area here. We have this good support and resistance area. Because remember, our focus is buy with buyers, sell with sellers. So we have identified this is a major sellers area here. This is the main sellers area where the red support resistance area is. So the sells could work out from there. But you can see there's some sort of sellers who have held the market within this area. And especially due to the fact that yesterday at around 4 o'clock, that's when the US big boys actually started pushing this price down to the downside. So even if we're focusing on these levels, you might end up finding the price actually pulling back all the way to this particular seller's area, and we will end up seeing a reaction within that location. So just to take note of those areas where the prices could potentially react from. So Hope that is clear. At least looking for the game plan of what we're looking at doing on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. As we move on to the next British pound pair, which is the British pound against the Japanese yen. A big fan favorite. I know a lot of people used to love trading the British pound against the yen. I think mainly because of the amount of pips it really moves. So today, the bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. You can see the overall flow of the market has been coming down, and we have started actually getting some sort of pullback coming in. And if you compare how the sellers came in, you can see the push to the downside, and how the buyers are coming in, you definitely know these buyers are not necessarily as strong, and we are still within the sellers market, especially since you can see these are the sellers who did manage to push the market to the downside. So overall, we're definitely going to still be looking for selling opportunities here. The pullback has started. You can see the sellers have attempted to come down. Right now, we want to see if the price is actually going to hold below within this particular area. Right now, we can see it has held a bit, but if we do end up seeing some sort of probe, right now, if the price is attempting to go up, but we see it coming down, and we see the price actually holding below, we could end up finding a very nice selling opportunity. We don't necessarily start chasing the market now. Don't think that the price is actually just going to go. Remember, we point out these market opening times because you're most likely to end up finding some sort of reaction there. So I know we always mention the London market open at 11, US market at 4, and the New York Stock Exchange at 5:30. But do take note of 10 o'clock or 10 a.m. our time, so 1 hour before the London market open, there is the Frankfurt market open. So you could end up finding some movement also happening at that particular time. So just watch out for 10, 11, 4, and 5:30. So hope that is clear, at least on what we're looking at doing. Right now, if the price ends up holding to the upside, there's a possibility we could end up getting the price all the way to the top, or also just watch out how this seller ends up reacting. You can see the price has approached a support and resistance area. You can see this is the SNR of this location. Sellers have potentially react, but we want to see whether or not the buyers are going to give up, and these big boy sellers are actually going to show up again. So let's move on to the next British pound pair. So here we will be looking at the euro against the British pound. Here we will be looking for buying opportunities on this currency pair, because remember the British pound is the counter currency in this situation, meaning if we are going to be looking for sells on the British pound, it means we want this pair to actually go to the upside. So overall, we'll be looking for buying opportunities on this pair, and we have identified these 3 areas for potential buying opportunities. You can see this is the main area where the buyers really did push to the upside, found a support and resistance area where some sellers are really giving some problems within this location. So you can see the price has gone to the upside. The sellers, look at the way the sellers are coming down, much slower in comparison to how the buyers, and right now we're within a support and resistance area. So we could end up potentially finding some very nice buying opportunity within this particular area. Hopefully we get some sort of probe or price action signal for us to see some sort of buying opportunity. Or you can end up going maybe down to the smaller time frame, potentially the 3-minute. You're able to read the story of how the buyers and sellers are approaching. We can end up potentially maybe even waiting for, there seems to be some sellers right here. The price is able to break this area to the upside. You might end up finding this price coming up, and you could end up finding some buying opportunity. The only issue with going down to a smaller time frame is you can't necessarily just try and target all the way to the top. You can see you also have an area of problems right over here based on this time frame. So you will need to do some sort of trade management within that location. So just watch out for that on the euro against the British pound. So moving on to the next and last currency pair we do have here, we have the British pound against the Australian dollar. And overall here, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. So I've identified these 3 areas where the sells could potentially work out from. Now, one thing is clear, the Australian dollar is showing a lot of strength. So right now, the way this price is coming down, it is no surprise. So we can see we have a major support and resistance area. In fact, we're discussing this early in the morning where we're watching to see whether or not this was actually a true breach or not. So you can see the price came to the downside, but it was just approved. But right now, if it ends up doing it again, where you can see the price is coming down, to show us evidence that the price is actually holding below, we could actually end up seeing a nice selling opportunity available for us. However, you do need to make sure you manage your trade within the next problem area. I think if I do end up going up to one higher time frame, at least the 1 hour, you'll be able to see this is a major buyer's area all the way down to the bottom. So even if you do manage to grab your sell, you can end up just making sure you manage your trade within that location. However, the reason why we're still watching out for these particular locations is because we know many people like being incited to actually jump in on sells. So I won't be surprised if the price actually comes back in, holds above, and we actually see the pullback coming in within the support and resistance area, and you find it there within one of the market opening times for us to potentially look for a selling opportunity within that location. So hope the game plan is clear. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. If the price holds below, we could end up finding those sells coming in. But similar situation that I pointed out, where the price pushes up from, you can see this is an area that you definitely need to watch out for. The fact that the price has bounced off here, even though we have this level, you never know what could end up happening within those locations. And I think that's the reason why for us, the better option would potentially be waiting for this pullback to come in. At least that would give us a much better risk to reward. So hope that is clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the Swiss franc and the British pound with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So starting off with the NASDAQ, the NAS 100. So here, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that we will be focusing on. So aggressive sellers all the way right there at the top. We have a support and resistance area here where the price does seem to be attempting to breach and hold to the upside. We have the main buyers area all the way down at the bottom. So you can see the way the market came down. The price really came down quite aggressive. And this is just a pullback. And you can see the buyers attempted to give up some more of a pullback. And you can see this support and resistance area. The main thing we always talk about is in order for a level to be broken, we need the price to break to the upside and actually hold above. But you can see this came down and held below. And right now, we want to see if that's actually going to, right now, it's actually going to be a breach to the upside. So if we do see the price actually breaking and holding above, since it has not been able to do that, this is just a probe right there. If we're able to see that, then chances are we could end up getting this price coming back all the way within this area before we're able to look for a selling opportunity. However, if we do end up seeing that this market actually just ends up giving us a huge probe, or at least we see aggressive sellers coming in and we see the price actually holding below, then potentially we could end up finding a very nice selling opportunity there. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening if the price actually holds above, or if we'll see the price actually continuing to give us more of a pullback on this pair. So I hope that's clear. And remember, with the indices as well as gold and silver, we're purely technical, meaning this traded support and resistance area. If the price does break and hold to the upside, remember at that point in time, we will switch our bias and actually be able to start looking for buying opportunities. So we'll be looking for sells as long as the price is holding below this area. The price goes above this support resistance area, we will be looking for buying opportunities then. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next pair we do have. Now, this is the Dow Jones. So on the Dow Jones, today, our bias here is going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these three areas for potential sells. So we have the aggressive sellers all the way at the top right there. We have some support and resistance area right here in the middle, because if you do end up realizing the market structure, you do seem to be in some sort of range. And if that's the case and we're within a range, remember, hopefully we can end up getting this price coming back within this area, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal for us to look for selling opportunities within this particular area. But remember, the price is able to actually go to the upside. Rather than actually coming back in, it actually holds above, then chances are we could end up getting the price coming back all the way to this main seller's area before we end up seeing the sellers actually coming in. So we'll be interested to see what ends up happening. But right now, we'll focus on the fact that the market is ranging. Do make sure you could end up getting a nice selling opportunity there, but do make sure you manage your trade within the buyer's area at the bottom. So hope that's clear, at least on what we're looking at on the Dow Jones. So we'll move on to the metals. So we'll start off here with silver. Now on silver, we can see the buyers really did come in quite aggressively yesterday. And so today, our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll be putting our focus on these three areas to look for these potential buys. You can see right now, we're within an area where there's sellers. So definitely not a good place to look for your buying opportunities. Most people know the structure of the market in terms of when the market is trending, it will give you higher highs and higher lows. But most people start jumping in on their buys all the way at the top, not waiting for the actual pullback to look for their buying opportunities at the bottom. So that's what we will always be waiting for. So you can see if you're looking at the story right now, we're right there at the top. And that's why we're not going to jump in on any buying opportunities there. We want to see if we can end up actually getting this pullback coming in, potentially within this support and resistance area, for us to look for a buying opportunity there. So wait to see what ends up happening. But if the price is able to continue going up higher, and we see the price breaking this area to the upside and holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities up within that area. And remember, watch out for the market opening times, especially if this dealing with silver and gold, they are more active during the US market. So do take note of that. So moving on to the next and last pair that we do have gold, fan favorite of most people. So in this situation here, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. The story is pretty much similar with silver. You can see the correlation coming in with both these pairs. Right now, we're right there at the top. So if we're making higher highs and higher lows, we're at the higher high right now. So what we need is that pullback coming in, potentially giving us a pullback in this support and resistance area for us to maybe look for a buying opportunity there. But if we don't see any reaction of any buyers, there's potential that the price can come back down all the way to the main buyers area. Especially if you do end up looking at it on a higher time frame, you can see the buyers really mainly pushed up from there. So there's potential that the price can come back in this area and still go to the upside. You can see we're within an area where we do end up having some big sellers. But once we're able to get this price breaking and holding above this support resistance area, I think we do have a bit of space to move to the upside. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening on this. But ideally, if you see the price breaking this area to the upside and holding above, then we should end up finding a nice buying opportunity available for us. So I hope that's clear for everyone. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the currency pairs, or at least the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side, and mix up the commodities as well as gold and silver. So I guess that is it from me and from us. Unfortunately, I am not able to access the comments in the chat box, but I will end up making sure I deal with that, or at least even after. But I do end up hoping John has responded to you as well. So once again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Hope you have an amazing trading day. I want to wish you God bless, happy trading, and bye for now. Hope to see you tomorrow, and cheers, guys.